High Admiral Rex stood at the massive window of the Galactic Council's observation deck, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display showing yet another dead world. His scales shifted from their usual blue to a pale gray, a sign of deep distress among his species. This was the 12th planet lost this month alone. "Play the recording again," he ordered, his voice barely a whisper. The AI system complied. The hologram showed a peaceful agricultural world, home to millions of the plant-like bloom species. Then, without warning, dark ships appeared in the sky. They weren't like anything the Alliance had ever seen before. The defense fleet's energy weapons passed right through them. Within hours, the entire planet was stripped of all organic life, leaving nothing but bare rock and metal structures behind. "Stop playback." Rex turned to face the emergency council gathered behind him. 20 different species were represented, from the crystalline lightbringers to the gaseous cloud mines. All of them looked as worried as he felt. "Our best weapons are useless," Rex said, addressing the council. "Our shields might as well be paper. We've lost contact with the entire spiral arm sector." He paused, knowing his next words would cause an uproar. "I believe it's time we consider the forbidden option." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The Lightbringer representative sparkled in alarm, sending rainbow patterns across the walls. "You can't be serious," she chimed. "The Deathworlders are too dangerous. We quarantined them for a reason." Rex held up his hand for silence. 200 years ago, we found a species that evolved on a planet that should have killed them. A world with crushing gravity, extreme temperature shifts, deadly radiation levels, and aggressive predators. Instead of dying, they thrived. We feared them because they were too strong, too tough, too aggressive. We locked them away because we thought they were monsters. He looked each council member in the eyes, all 64 of them. But now, real monsters are here, and our advanced civilization is helpless against them. The Cloud Mind representative swirled thoughtfully. "The humans. You want to contact the humans?" "Yes." Rex activated another hologram, this one showing a blue-green planet. "Our monitoring stations report they've advanced significantly since their quarantine. They've colonized their entire solar system despite the harsh conditions. They build redundancies into everything. Backup systems that work without power, mechanical controls alongside digital ones. They plan for disaster because their world taught them to always expect it." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Alliance had grown soft, relying entirely on advanced technology. When that technology failed against the new enemy, they had nothing to fall back on. "They're violent." The Lightbringer protested, but with less conviction. "They're survivors," Rex corrected. "And right now, we need survivors more than we need philosophers." He brought up another display, this one showing the enemy's predicted advance. "At their current pace, the dark ships will reach the core worlds in less than a year. We can maintain our principles and die, or we can ask the Deathworlders for help." A new voice spoke up, the ancient tree elder, who rarely participated in debates. "When I was a sapling," he creaked, "my world suffered a terrible drought. We survived because the poisonous fungi we feared turned out to be our salvation. They protected our roots from the dry rot." His branches swayed meaningfully. "Perhaps what we fear may also be what saves us." Rex felt his scales shift back toward blue. "Then we are in agreement." One by one, the council members indicated their assent. Even the Lightbringer's glow softened to acceptance. "Very well." Rex straightened to his full height. "I will lead the delegation myself. We will go to Earth and ask the Deathworlders to fight beside us." He looked once more at the dead world in the hologram. After all, who better to fight monsters than the species we thought were monsters themselves? As the council session ended, Rex remained behind, staring at the image of Earth. 200 years ago, the Alliance had locked the humans away out of fear of their potential for violence. Now that same capacity for violence might be the only thing standing between civilization and extinction. The irony was not lost on him. "Prepare my ship," he told his eye. Plot a course for the Sol system. The time had come to meet humanity again, and this time, their strength would be welcomed, not feared. Admiral James Stone watched the alien ship approach Earth's defense station through reinforced windows. The vessel was beautiful, all smooth curves and shimmering metal that seemed to catch starlight in impossible ways. It looked delicate, almost fragile to his eyes. Like everything the aliens built, it favored elegance over durability. "They're requesting permission to dock, sir," his second-in-command reported. "Their ship's having trouble with our gravity generators." Stone nodded, unsurprised. "Lower the artificial gravity in docking bay 3 to 1/3 Earth normal. That should help them." Even after 2 centuries of isolation, humanity remembered their first contact with the galactic community. The aliens had come in peace but left in fear, quarantining Earth and its colonies after declaring humans too dangerous to join galactic society. Now they were back, and Stone couldn't help but wonder what had changed. The alien delegation emerged from their ship with careful movements. Their leader, a tall blue-scaled being, wore what looked like a mechanical assistance suit to help him walk in even the reduced gravity. Behind him came representatives of various species, some floating, some crawling, some walking on many legs. All of them moved as if they expected the station's metal deck to break under them. Stone stepped forward to greet them, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. "Welcome to Earth Defense Station Alpha. I'm Admiral Stone." He noticed how they flinched slightly at his booming voice and made an effort to speak more softly. The blue-scaled alien bowed slightly. "I am High Admiral Rex of the Galactic Alliance. We come seeking humanity's help." Stone raised an eyebrow. "That was unexpected. Please, follow me to the conference room. Watch your step. The artificial gravity increases gradually as we move deeper into the station." As they walked, Stone noticed the aliens staring at everything with a mixture of fear and fascination. They paused at a window overlooking Earth, their expressions showing both awe and terror at the stormy surface of humanity's homeworld. "You live in these conditions willingly?" one of the floating aliens asked, its gas-like form swirling in distress as they passed a readout showing the station's current gravity level. "This is comfortable for us," Stone replied honestly. "We've made improvements to the station over the years, but the basic design hasn't changed much since you last visited." The conference room was designed to accommodate various alien physiologies, with special chairs and atmospheric bubbles for different species. Once everyone was settled, High Admiral Rex activated a holographic display showing a series of dead worlds. "We face an enemy that our technology cannot defeat," Rex explained. "They ignore our energy shields. Our weapons pass through them harmlessly. They strip entire worlds of life, and we are powerless to stop them." He paused, his scales shifting color. "But you humans are different. You build backup systems. You use physical armor alongside energy shields. You plan for failure because your world taught you that anything can fail." Stone studied the images carefully. "You quarantined us because we were too aggressive, too primitive," he said, keeping his voice neutral. "Now you want our help because we're primitive." "Because you're survivors," Rex corrected. "Your species evolved on a world that tried to kill you every day. And you didn't just survive, you thrived. We need that strength now." Stone leaned back in his chair, the reinforced metal creaking slightly under his weight. "And what do we get in return?" "Full membership in the Alliance, unrestricted access to the stars. All the rights we denied you 2 centuries ago." The room fell silent as Stone considered the offer. Humanity had dreamed of the stars, had pushed against their quarantine borders for 200 years. Now the very people who had caged them were offering them the galaxy. "We'll need to modify your ships," Stone said finally. "They're too fragile for human crews, and we'll want guaranteed colonization rights for any compatible worlds we find." Rex's scales brightened. "Agreed. Does this mean?" Stone stood up, careful not to startle the aliens with any sudden movements. "Humanity accepts. We'll help you fight your monsters." He smiled slightly. After all, we've had plenty of practice fighting our own. As the aliens relaxed visibly at his words, Stone couldn't help but think about the irony. Humanity's greatest weakness, evolving on a death world, had become their greatest strength. And now, finally, the stars were within their reach. Commander Lisa Wright walked through the massive shipyard orbiting Mars, watching as human and alien engineers worked together on the new fleet. The sight still amazed her, crystalline beings floating alongside human workers in spacesuits, gaseous aliens moving through special tubes to reach difficult spots, and mechanical assistance suits helping the gravity-sensitive species move around. No, you need a manual backup for that system, she heard a human engineer explaining to his alien counterpart. What happens if you lose power during a battle? The alien engineer's crystal body flickered in confusion. But our power systems are perfect. They never fail. Everything fails eventually, Lisa said, joining their conversation. That's the first rule of building ships for human crews. She pointed to the holographic design floating between them. Add mechanical controls, like the ones we use in our emergency systems. They're not pretty, but they work even if everything else dies. The alien's crystalline form dimmed slightly, their version of a frown. It seems primitive. Primitive kept us alive on Earth, Lisa replied with a smile. And now it might keep us all alive out there. She moved on through the shipyard, checking on other projects. The first joint human alliance ship loomed ahead of her, its hull a strange mix of flowing alien metal and sturdy human engineering. They had named it Hope's Shield, though some of the crew already called it Humanity's Hammer instead. Inside the ship, more work teams were combining their different approaches. Human engineers insisted on thick physical armor alongside the advanced alien energy shields. They added backup systems for every critical component and manual overrides for every automated system. The aliens thought it was wasteful, but they couldn't argue with the logic behind it. "Commander," a voice called out. It was Tom, one of her best engineers. "You need to see this." She followed him to the ship's medical bay, where an incident had occurred. An alien worker had accidentally entered a section with Earth normal gravity and collapsed. The aliens were clustering around in distress, but the human medical team had already handled the situation. "Look at their faces," Tom whispered, nodding toward the alien observers. "They can't believe we carry injured crew members that easily." Lisa understood. What seemed like a simple rescue to the humans, carrying an injured person to the medical bay, looked like an incredible feat of strength to the aliens. Their worlds had such low gravity that most species never developed the muscle strength humans took for granted. "That's why we need to train together," she said loudly, addressing everyone in the room. "We need to understand each other's limitations and strengths." Later that day, Lisa met with the ship's future command crew, a mix of humans and aliens chosen to lead the first joint mission. They gathered in a specially designed briefing room, with various gravity zones and atmospheric bubbles to keep everyone comfortable. "The ship's almost ready," she reported. "But we have a bigger challenge ahead, learning to work as one crew." The alien's second in command, a floating cloud of intelligent gas, swirled thoughtfully. "Your species does things so differently from ours. You rely on backup plans for your backup plans. Because we expect things to go wrong," Lisa explained. "On Earth, if you don't plan for disaster, you don't survive long. We're building these ships the same way, ready for anything. And your physical capabilities," another alien officer added, their scales shifting color in amazement. "The way you ignore pain, heal from injuries, work in crushing gravity." Lisa held up her hand. "And you can navigate space naturally, process complex calculations instantly, and build technologies we're still trying to understand. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone." As the meeting continued, Lisa looked out the window at the growing fleet. Each ship was a perfect combination of alien advancement and human durability. The aliens had built elegant ships that could cross galaxies, and humans had made them tough enough to survive the journey. We're almost ready, she thought, watching another hull plate being attached to Hope's shield. And when those dark ships come again, they'll find out what happens when you combine human determination with alien technology. The fleet would be humanity's gift to the galaxy, not just protection against the darkness, but proof that their greatest fears could become their greatest allies. The bridge of Hope's shield hummed with tension as the dark ships appeared on their scanners. Admiral Stone stood at the command center, watching as the enemy fleet emerged from the darkness of space. Their ships looked like tears in reality, black shapes that seemed to absorb both light and hope. All ships, battle positions, Stone ordered, his voice calm despite the situation. Remember your training. We've prepared for this. The joint fleet spread out in a formation that would have looked strange to both human and alien military experts. The alien ships, with their superior speed and maneuverability, formed the outer rings. The heavily armored human-modified vessels, including Hope's shield, made up the inner core. Enemy ships launching their first attack, reported the sensor officer, a crystalline alien whose body flickered with nervous energy. The dark ships fired their weapons, strange beams of energy that had destroyed so many alien worlds. But this time, something different happened. Physical shields holding, called out Tom from engineering. The energy might pass through our barriers, but it can't get through good old-fashioned armor. Stone allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had relied purely on energy shields, which these weapons ignored completely. But humans had insisted on adding thick plates of physical armor to their ships, treated with materials that could absorb and deflect energy. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. They're changing tactics, the alien tactical officer reported, their gas form swirling faster in excitement. They'd never had to do that before. The dark ships began firing gravitational weapons, trying to crush the human-alien fleet. The alien ships started to retreat, their delicate structures unable to handle the intense gravitational forces. But the human ships pushed forward, hull stress at 60%, within human tolerance, Tom reported. Those gravity weapons are nothing compared to the crush depth of our old sea submarines. The enemy ships seemed to recoil in confusion. Their weapons, designed to destroy the advanced but fragile ships of the galaxy's civilized species, were failing against these crude but incredibly tough vessels. Now it's our turn, Stone said, his voice carrying across the bridge. All ships, execute attack pattern Earth 1. The fleet moved like a well-rehearsed dance team. The alien ships used their superior speed to dart in and out, distracting the enemy, while the human vessels charged straight through the gravitational attacks. Hope's shield led the charge, its reinforced hull shrugging off forces that would have crushed a normal ship. They're trying to retreat. The sensor officer chimed excitedly. We've never seen them retreat before. Not this time, Stone growled. Launch the boarding pods. This was the part that had shocked their alien allies during training, the idea of physically boarding an enemy vessel. It seemed primitive, reckless, even suicidal to them. But humans knew that sometimes the direct approach was the best approach. The pods, designed by human engineers and enhanced with alien technology, shot out from Hope's shield. Inside each one, teams of human Marines waited in their sealed armor suits. The enemy had never needed physical defenses against boarding actions before. No species had ever been crazy enough to try it. First pod has breached an enemy ship, came the report. Second and third pods following. The dark ships tried to destroy the pods, but like the human vessels, they were too heavily armored to be stopped by energy weapons. One by one, they latched onto the enemy ships like remoras on sharks. We're getting readings from inside their ships, the sensor officer reported with amazement. The boarding teams, they're actually doing it. The enemy ships are breaking formation. Stone watched as the first dark ship suddenly went dark, truly dark, not just their usual light-absorbing black. The human boarding team had found something vital and destroyed it. A second ship followed, then a third. The remaining enemy vessels did something no one had ever seen before. They fled in panic. Did we just win? The alien tactical officer asked, their gaseous form practically vibrating with disbelief. We won the first battle, Stone corrected, already studying the tactical data. They'll be back, and they'll have new tactics. But now, they know what they're dealing with. He turned to face his mixed crew of humans and aliens. They thought they were hunting helpless prey. Instead, they found warriors who evolved on a world that makes their weapons look gentle in comparison. The bridge crew, human and alien alike, stood a little taller at his words. They had done what no one thought possible. They had fought the darkness and won. And this was just the beginning. Look at this weather pattern, Admiral Stone said, pointing to a hologram of Earth's most powerful hurricane. The alien commanders floated, stood, or hovered around the tactical display, their various forms showing signs of confusion. You want to base our attack strategy on your planet's weather? High Admiral Rex asked, his scales shifting to a puzzled blue-green color. Exactly. Stone expanded the hologram, showing how the hurricane moved and behaved. On Earth, we learned to understand these massive storms. They taught us something important about power and movement in space. The tactical room aboard Hope's Shield had become the fleet's main planning center. After their first victory, the joint fleet had grown. More ships had been modified with human innovations, and more alien crews had learned to trust human instincts. Operation Thunderstorm, Stone announced. Instead of running from the dark ships, we'll surround them like a storm surrounds its eye. We'll use their own gravitational weapons against them. Commander Lisa Wright stepped forward to explain. When a hurricane spins on Earth, it creates a calm center called the eye. But that calm is surrounded by the most destructive part of the storm. She manipulated the hologram, showing their fleet positions. We'll do the same thing in space. The alien commanders watched as the simulation played out. The human ships would form the eye wall, the strongest part of the storm, while the faster alien ships would act like the outer bands, striking and retreating in coordinated attacks. But the enemy is adapting. One of the gaseous commanders swirled anxiously. They've learned to avoid boarding actions. They're using new weapons. Let them adapt, Stone said with a confident smile. Humans are better at it. We've spent our entire history adapting to survive. It's what we do best. The plan was put into action 3 days later when their scouts located a group of dark ships attacking a mining colony. The joint fleet arrived just as the enemy began their attack. All ships, execute Operation Thunderstorm, Stone commanded from Hope's Shield's bridge. Remember, move like the storm, flow like the wind. The human ships formed a rotating circle around the enemy fleet, their reinforced hulls acting like a wall of steel in space. The alien ships streaked through the formation like lightning, their advanced weapons striking at weak points in the enemy's defenses. They're trying to break through the eye wall. Tom reported from engineering. Just like you said they would, Admiral. Hold position, Stone ordered calmly. Let them feel the full force of the storm. As the dark ships pushed against the human vessels, they found themselves caught in an artificial gravity well, created by their own weapons being reflected back at them by specially designed hull plating. The more they struggled, the stronger the effect became. Now, Stone commanded. The joint fleet began to spin faster, creating a massive gravitational whirlpool in space. The dark ships, trying to escape, only added to the effect with their own gravity weapons. It was like watching a hurricane form in the void. Enemy ships showing signs of structural stress. The sensor officer reported, their crystalline form glowing with excitement. Their hulls weren't designed to handle these forces. The dark ships began to break apart, their mysterious technology no match for the combined might of human endurance and alien precision. Those that tried to escape were picked off by the fast-moving alien ships in the outer bands of the formation. When it was over, the joint fleet had destroyed an entire enemy battle group without losing a single ship. The hurricane strategy worked perfectly, High Admiral Rex said, his scales now a bright color of victory. But how did you know they would fall for it? Stone looked at the tactical display, watching the debris of the dark ships scatter across space. Because they think like you used to think. That advanced technology is always the answer. They never considered that studying our world's natural disasters would teach us more about space warfare than any computer simulation. The aliens shared looks of understanding. They had spent centuries trying to rise above their world's natural forces. Humans had spent that time learning from them instead. We'll take the fight to them now, Stone announced to the fleet. Earth taught us that the best defense is sometimes a good offense. And thanks to both our species working together, we finally have the strength to strike back. The joint fleet moved out, ready to show the galaxy that the age of running and hiding was over. The hunters were about to become the hunted. The captured dark ship lay dead in space, its strange hull finally breached by the joint fleet's newest weapons. Admiral Stone stood in his heavy-duty spacesuit, leading the first boarding team into the enemy vessel. Behind him, both human and alien scientists followed, protected by special equipment against the ship's deadly environment. Radiation levels are off the charts, Tom reported through the suit's comm system. The aliens were right. No normal species could survive in here. Good thing we're not normal then, Stone replied, his boots magnetizing to the metal floor. The inside of the dark ship was like nothing they'd ever seen. The corridors seemed to bend in impossible ways, and the walls pulsed with an inner light that their sensors couldn't properly read. Admiral, called one of the alien scientists, their crystalline form safely encased in a human-designed protection suit. We found something. A data core, we think. The team gathered around a twisted mass of technology that seemed to serve as the ship's brain. The alien scientists began their work, trying to decode the strange information stored within. Suddenly, their translators crackled to life with an alien language they'd never heard before. The crystalline scientists' glow dimmed in shock. These aren't warriors, the scientist whispered. They're refugees. The data revealed a truth more terrifying than anything they had imagined. The dark ships were running from something far worse, a mechanical race of harvesters that consumed entire galaxies. The dark ships' crews had transformed themselves, twisted their bodies and ships with terrible technology, all in a desperate attempt to survive. They're not trying to kill us, Commander Wright said, joining them in the ship's core. They're trying to transform other species to be like them. They think it's the only way to survive what's coming. Stone felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's cold environment. How long until these harvesters reach our galaxy? The answer in the data core made even the human soldiers pause. They were already here. Back on Hope's shield, the Joint Fleet's commanders gathered to face this new truth. The holographic displays showed a region of space that all species avoided, a place where stars seemed to die for no reason. The harvesters have been building something there for centuries, High Admiral Rex explained, his scales a pale color of fear. We always thought it was just a natural phenomenon, a place where space itself had gone wrong. We need to see what's in there, Stone said firmly. But the radiation and gravitational forces would kill any normal species within minutes, Rex finished. Even our most advanced ships can't survive those conditions. Stone looked around the room at the assembled commanders, human and alien alike. They had come so far together, learned to combine their strengths. Now they faced their greatest challenge. Then we won't send normal ships, Stone declared. We'll send human crews in specially modified vessels. We evolved on a radiation-soaked death world with crushing gravity. Those conditions are harsh, but they're not impossible for us. The alien commanders stared at him in amazement. Even after all this time, humanity's willingness to face deadly conditions still shocked them. The harvesters think they're invincible because no species can survive their weapons, Stone continued. But they've never met a species that evolved on a planet that was already trying to kill them. Commander Wright pulled up the designs for a new type of ship, one built specifically for these lethal conditions. We'll need to strip out all the comfort systems, Pack in extra radiation shielding. Build it to withstand gravity that would crush a normal vessel into atoms. A suicide mission, one of the gaseous commanders swirled anxiously. No, Stone corrected. A scouting mission. We go in, find out what they're building, and come back with a plan to stop them. Humanity has spent its entire history going into places everyone else thought were too dangerous to explore. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The dark ships had been running for so long, transforming themselves in terrible ways to survive. But humans had been preparing for this moment their entire existence, forged by a world that had never stopped trying to kill them. Get me volunteers for the mission, Stone ordered. It's time to show these harvesters that they're not the scariest thing in the galaxy anymore. The harvester's massive structure filled the view screen of Hote's shield, a colossal machine that dwarfed everything humanity had ever built. It was a factory of destruction, designed to process entire worlds into energy for its mechanical masters. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge, surrounded by his crew of humans and aliens. The scouting mission had revealed the horrifying truth. The harvesters weren't just planning to consume their galaxy. They were building a device to speed up the process, to tear apart the fabric of space itself. All ships report ready, Commander Wright announced. Her voice was steady despite the crushing gravity and deadly radiation that surrounded them. The human crews had trained for these conditions, pushing themselves to their absolute limits. The dark ships are moving to support us, the sensor officer reported. Their former enemies had become allies after learning of humanity's plan. They had spent centuries running, transforming themselves into monsters to survive. But humans had shown them another way. Begin Operation Earthbreak, Stone commanded. The fleet moved into position. The alien ships, now modified with human-designed protection systems, formed the outer layers. The dark ships, understanding the harvesters better than anyone, took the middle ring. And at the core, the human ships prepared for the most dangerous part of the plan. They're powering up their main weapon. Tom's voice crackled through the comm. Gravitational forces are off the scale. The harvester station began to glow, its massive form drawing in energy from the dying stars around it. It was a sight that had sent countless species running in terror. But not humans. Hold position, Stone ordered calmly. Remember your training. This is no worse than standing in Earth's deepest ocean trenches. The pressure is trying to crush us. Well, that's just another Tuesday back home. The human ships formed a tight formation, their specialized hulls creaking under forces that would have vaporized normal vessels. The alien and dark ship crews watched in amazement as their human allies faced conditions that their own species considered unsurvivable. Ready the gravity bombs, Stone commanded. These were humanity's secret weapon. Devices that turned the harvester's own gravitational technology against them, created by combining human ingenuity with alien science and knowledge from the dark ships. The harvester station fired its main weapon, a beam of pure gravitational force that could tear planets apart. But instead of running, the human ships did something unprecedented. They flew straight into it. Hull integrity at 40%. Tom reported, his voice strained but determined. The reinforcements are holding. Launch the bombs, Stone ordered. Write down their own gravity beam. The gravity bombs shot forward, riding the harvester's own weapon like surfers on a wave. The human ship's hulls screamed under the pressure, but they held their position, keeping the beam focused and preventing the bombs from straying off course. The explosions started small but grew exponentially. Each bomb created a gravitational point that pulled in more energy, growing stronger and stronger. The harvester station's own weapon became its undoing, trapped in an ever-growing web of artificial gravity wells. It's working. Commander Wright shouted over the sound of straining metal. Their structure is breaking apart. The massive station began to collapse, its own mass being used against it. The human ships finally pulled back, their hulls battered but intact. They had done what no other species thought possible. They had turned the harvester's greatest weapon into their destruction. As the station imploded, Taking its mechanical masters with it, the joint fleet regrouped at a safe distance. The dark ships sent a message of thanks. They could finally stop running, stop transforming themselves. The alien commanders stared at their human allies with newfound respect. "How did you know it would work?" High Admiral Rex asked, his scales shimmering with emotions too complex for his color-changing skin to express. Stone looked at the debris field where the harvester station had been. "Because on Earth, we learned long ago that the most dangerous forces of nature can also be the most useful, if you're tough enough to harness them." The joint fleet turned toward home, their mission accomplished. The galaxy was safe, and every species now understood a truth that would change their civilization forever. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't advanced technology or deadly weapons. It was the strength that came from evolving on a world that had never stopped trying to kill you, yet taught you how to survive anything the universe could throw at you. Humanity had become the shield of the galaxy, protecting it not despite their primitive origins, but because of them.